To share or not to share a secret? That is the question. Is it the school or teaching that makes me want to pull my hair out? Oh, you want to teach the class because you think you can do better? Okay. Why do some people hate it when teachers are hard on students? These are the stories we're going to talk about here today. My name is Miss Charlene, and class is in session here at Reddit Classroom Chronicles. Hello, fellow pupils, and welcome to another episode of Reddit Classroom Chronicles. If you are new here, let me introduce myself. I am a math teacher, currently teaching middle school in the United States. I have been teaching for 4 years, and if you are planning to become an educator, well, let's just say by the end of this show, you may end up asking yourself, just as I do daily, do I really want to do this job? With that being said, let's dive into our first post. Our first post is titled, Need to Get This Off My Chest. It's been almost 2 years. It was posted on the subreddit Our Teachers by Ohhhh Mazda 4. It says, I was involved in a situation last year and I want to give a little context before getting into it. In terms of academia, my writing has always been an area of remediation, so give some grace. I am 34 male. I have been teaching 9 years and I am moving into a math and science instructional coach role next year. I have taught middle school math and science for 8 of those years, but have been heavily involved in writing phenomenal storyline lessons for the district in the science. I moved from a school that I loved and had the best coworkers that were like family after last year because of an incident at my school that went like this. Beginning of 2021, I was serving my obligatory morning bus duty, unpaid, in the gym. The way that it worked at that school was the 7th and 8th graders that arrived early would be held in the gym until 7:50 a.m. to be released for 8 a.m. start. Students start showing up as early as 7:15 a.m. and by 7:50 a.m. there are usually close to 150 to 200 students. My bus duty partner didn't show up that morning, and so I was alone with a pretty large group of students. At 7:40-ish, a student starts yelling my name. I turn to see a kid stab another repeatedly in the back with a knife. The victim got free and ran out of the gym after suffering 2 stab wounds. The backpack and laptop prevented the other attempts, thankfully. The student with the knife didn't chase. He just stood there with a blank look staring at me. I approached the student with my hand out and asked him to drop the knife. He pointed it at me, so I backed up and repeated the movement again. The second time I approached him calmly, the student threw the knife across the gym. I grabbed him and took him out of the gym and had to yell at someone for a radio since they did not keep one in the gym. What? So they have 2 teachers. Well, there's supposed to be 2 teachers for close to 200 students. And there's no radio in the gym. I handed the student off to an assistant principal. At that time, the victim came out of a door and collapsed near me. I saw 2 holes in his shirt, so I lifted his shirt to see the wounds. I took my shirt off and applied pressure until EMS arrived. Our SRO was late that day, of course, and arrived after EMS. I was sat in a room and asked to sign a paper stating I was okay and met with a counselor. Yeah, if that was me, I wouldn't be signing anything. I'm not signing anything. I always knew this was a possibility. A good friend of mine was killed in the Valentine shooting in Florida at MSD, and it caused me to think about how to react in similar situation. I don't know what I'm looking for in telling you all of this. I had to move schools. I was just diagnosed with anxiety a week ago. I am still thriving, but masking the anxiety. I am hoping moving into this new role will help me still have an impact on the career I love without wanting to leave. Thanks for making it this far. Edit. Glad I posted. Thank you for support and ideas for moving forward. I set up therapy, all things I've wanted to do but haven't felt right doing so. Thank you. I have duty at my school in the morning in the gym. Every time I go to the gym for my duty, I ask myself, what exactly can we do? if something breaks out between these kids. Because there's like, what, 4 of us? There's only 4 of us. At least 2 of them are the gym teachers and they have a radio. But there's a lot of kids. Oh my God. Poor guy. This commenter says, you were lucky. The school screwed up. No radio, no SRO. Hope you're getting help to talk through this. At a minimum, the district should be covering it. Yeah, like they basically set them up. He's the only one for all of these kids. How is that? Like, no radio? You're gonna leave somebody in there with 200 students with no radio to call for help. OP responded, they give me a 25. Oh my God. They give me a $25 gift card. Edit, I threw it away. I have had a few thousand in medical bills for testing and anxiety-related symptoms. I'm not sure how to go about getting compensated and will be nervous to lose my job in a right-to-work state. It doesn't really matter about... See, this is what happens. People have this idea where just because it is a right-to-work state that they can fire you all willy-nilly. Like, if somebody's going to fire you, they have to have documentation. They have to. You have to show cause. You have to have a reason. You better be prepared, because if somebody feel like they got fired for absolutely nothing and they sue you, which will happen, it can happen, you better be ready to prove why you fired that person. A lot of people think that, oh, it's a right to work state. Oh my God, that they can fire me for anything. No, that's not how that works. People need to stop thinking that. This person has reason to sue these people. He was by himself. Like, the kid went and stabbed another. He's the only one there. There are 200 kids in that room. So now he has to leave those 200 kids by themselves to deal with the perpetrator. Like, how is that okay? Now, he needs to sue these people. He needs to find a lawyer and sue them. Music Mad Chen says, you should have never been in that position. I'm sorry for your ongoing difficulties. I don't want to be one of those sue them types, but I may reach out to a lawyer if I were you. There were multiple failures on the school part here. They failed to keep their students safe and their staff. A lawsuit may give them some motivation to make sure it doesn't happen again. And then the original poster says, I have been playing with this in my head. This truly is my purpose. I'm a high school head coach as well now, and an instructional coach for math and science, which is my dream position. Do I jeopardize that? I anticipated this legal route to pop up and was curious about opinions as well. Our district serves over 45,000 students. They have the funds. Sue them. Sue them, because now you have anxiety. You may end up in the future get diagnosed with PTSD. That can make it hard for you in the future to do your job effectively, because this is gonna play on your head all the time and you're gonna be worried. Nah, sue them. They should have never put you in this position. They should have never put him in this position. Grand Bison 1292 says, it sounds like you're getting therapy, and that's a good thing. Please keep it up. You definitely faced a trauma, and it profoundly affects all people. Not only did you witness a horrendous attack, any normal person would be traumatized, but you were also the one that was in charge. And in the midst of your anxiety, remind yourself that you were able to de-escalate the situation without anyone else getting hurt. I just retired at the end of this last year because of how things are changing in the schools. I applaud you for wanting to continue to teach at another school, another role. Maybe you just want the reassurance of other teachers to tell you it's okay that you left that position. And it is. You haven't given up on anyone. Not kids, not yourself. Obviously, you have a passion about what you do, and I'm sorry that whole thing happened to you and those other kids. Good luck for the future with everything. If I was in that position, I don't know what I would do. I don't know how I would react. It's been 4 years. I haven't had to deal with something like this, and I hope I never have to, because I don't know how I would react, and I really hope I never find out. Another commenter commented, did the victim survive? And OP says, yes, they were fairly lucky to have their laptop in their backpack. Deflected 3 of the 5 of the stabs. The other 2 hit their shoulder blade and deflected the knife to the side under the skin. The blood ruined my shirt but was not soaked. The student collapsed more out of fear and shock. Another commenter said, as a teacher and a parent, this is one of my biggest fears. My kid's school had a box cutter incident where a troubled 7 or 8-year-old boy was wrestled to the ground by an elderly groundskeeper, think granny age, and it was all around terrifying. I still struggle and think about her daily and all the kids he was coming for, including mine. You are so strong for the help you provided that day. I hope you continue to heal. I'm sorry it happened somewhere you were so happy. Sending you all the good vibes, friend. Owl Bear Whisperer says, 1, your school should have never put you in that situation. It's like the stars are all aligned for the worst possible reason, and the situation was exacerbated by administrative incompetence. Their attempts to silence and compensate you, quote, are laughable and offensive. Like $25? A $25 gift card? What is that supposed to do? That's not going to take care of all the therapies that you're going to need. At the very least, they should have just basically just paid for your therapy appointments. At the very least. 2, I hope you are proud of how you handled the actual event. Truly sounds like you did the best you possibly could in a nightmare scenario. Acrobatic Working 74 says, I went to a school in Ukraine in the 1990s. Teachers made like $300 per month and had to have second jobs. Students had small fights regularly. One kid pushed another off the stairs. Yikes. And then bullied the whole class for years, and one guy punched a kid and gave him a black eye, but nothing like stabbing ever happened. Teachers were definitely not afraid, and all the kids talked to teachers with respect. One time a rich kid threatened a teacher and got called out and into the principal's office. Maybe it is because A, the kids had to sit with their arms crossed during class from first grade, B, they had to raise their hand to talk during class, C, they had to stand up to show respect when the principal walked in. This has always been done in Russia and still done there in China. And I don't think the two countries have a problem with school stabbing or shootings. I mean, I come from a country where basically respect for the teacher is key. But how does this help? OP, how? Mastiff Mama WA says, is it even legal for one person to be responsible for over 100 students? If students can enter the building that early, then the district is responsible for providing adequate supervision. Is your union involved? You are put in an unfair, unpaid, and unsafe position. I'm really sorry this happened to you. When I was an admin, doors remained locked until 10 minutes before the first bell as no one was available to supervise. When students continue arriving early, the district finally implemented a structured and much needed before school program. Pink Dragon Lady replied, that's what I'm thinking. Even 2 teachers for 200 kids seems low. They need at least 4 to account for 1 being out. At least 1 should have a radio too. Lots of dropped the balls that a lawsuit would uncover. It doesn't have to be insane or millions, but enough to send a message, pay all medical balances, and get a little scratch for your troubles. Bibbidi Bobbidi Fuck says, late to this but somehow being made to sign a paper saying you were fine is the shit cherry on top. I've been in a less serious but still triggering situation and admin did something similar with me. This guy needs to sue, and I hope he wins it. Hopefully it doesn't affect his future, like his coaching and stuff, but that's cool. And what is up with the whole radio thing? Why don't teachers have these things in their classroom? Sometimes it's so much easier to use one of those than getting to a phone if something happened. Like, how is that safe? Our next post was posted on subreddit Our Teachers by user Tuanum, and it's titled I Kept the Secret for 30 Years. For this post, I really wanted to share it. I wanted to read it, but at the same time, I wanted to do it in a way where I wouldn't specify the genders of the people in the story. It says, I kept the secret for 30 years. I retired from teaching this year, and I never told anyone because I would have gotten reprimanded, and I didn't want my staff who would have supported me to talk me out of it or get in trouble for helping me. On to the story. I helped a parent escape their abusive spouse. I was legitimately afraid the spouse would kill them. I helped them plan everything, including disappearing for a year. I told them how to pack clothes, not to put a go bag out, but to know where everything was. I helped them find a school for their child and told them to tell them not to request school records that year because I didn't want a paper trail that would lead to them. I helped with money. They found an apartment and had it ready to go when the opportunity rose for them to get out. I told them not to tell anyone, so when they left and their spouse turned up looking for them, they could act with genuine surprise. Their parents and sister were told they were going to leave, but not when or where they were going. The spouse will come in the morning and after school and park looking for them and their child. They made it out safely, and after a year and a half came out of hiding. When their child was about to graduate high school several years later, they came to visit me with a friend. It's weird how I just knew it was them. We hugged for a long time. I heard them tell their friend, "That's her," as they approached. I never saw them again after that, but that was the highlight of my teaching career. Yes, I got too involved. I took a big risk. I know my school board would have told me to stay out of it. It wasn't the first time or last time I got too involved, but it's something I'm happy I did. I guess it's safe to tell the teachers I work with back then, still friends. They were great and have been protecting the child before they were in my class, but I didn't want anyone to tell me not to get involved, so I just kept it on the down low. Anyone else got a secret to share? This teacher is who I want to be when I grow up, even though I'm already grown up. You get it, the idea. She's who I want to be when I grow up, and I'm glad she got involved. Crabby Oil Liberian says, "I love that you did this. I did something similar. I wasn't a teacher yet. A female coworker was married to an absolute monster. She had no money, no car, no nothing. Anyway, she wanted to go home with her daughter. So after work one night, I drove her and her child to the airport. She had her passports, give her some money in a diaper bag and put her on a plane to Scotland. That was in 1989. And then a teacher replied, "I'm a teacher. When I was a child, my parents, who weren't married but in a common law relationship, separated. My father got sole custody because he had the money. My mother, who was Taiwanese, moved back to Taiwan and shortly passed away. He abused the ever-living shit out of me. I remember my grade 5 teacher wrongly accusing me of stealing chocolate from a charity. I begged her not to tell my dad. That vindictive witch did. My father put me in a dog kennel all summer." It is one of the reasons I don't ever show any anger towards my students and do not tell the parents anything that could lead to their abuse in any shape or form. If I have to, I always talk to the students and their parents to see if they are abusive or not. Some teachers are just evil. Yeah, as a teacher, I've come across a few students where if something were to happen, you could tell. For example, if I come across any Haitian students, more often than not, if they get in trouble, I know better than to call home because I used to be that student. I know how Haitian parents can be. I also know I've had students where if something happens and I say, okay, I'm gonna call home, based on their reactions, I would not call home because that reaction makes me feel like the parent is probably going to overreact. Every year I have some students where it's best to just not call home, and students should not have to worry about things like that. Somebody else commented, "My own mother wouldn't even help me. A wonderful man who has since passed did all he could for us. I think about him daily, and it's a shame that your own parent couldn't even take a second to help you out of the situation. Parenting doesn't end just because your child become an adult. It doesn't. Your child will always need you." Skinny Mean says, "After years of abuse, my stepfather's therapist helped my mother get out. That was just from the conversation she had with him. I'm still grateful that she helped remove that poison from our family." Wow. And the thing is, that's probably not even, is that even an ethical thing for her to do, the therapist to do? Made Up Neighbor replied, "This is fascinating to me because the therapist could have faced repercussions, and in most every other circumstance, you don't want your medical provider talking to your family without your consent. But what an incredible thing to do for your family. May I ask how she reached out to your mother and comforts her out? Does your mother still talk to her? I can't get over how amazing she was to do that." Okay. So Skinny Mean replied, "She suggested they do a couples therapy session. Somehow she got my mother alone and was able to set up a system for contact. I think she was agreeing with him and building his ego up so he wouldn't question my mother seeing her alone. She coached my mom how to leave. Only my aunt knew because the rest of the family couldn't be trusted. My mother unfortunately passed away from brain cancer 5 years ago. I'm not sure if she stayed in contact with the provider. I understand what a risk she took by helping her, and And I think that ethically, she made the right choice. She had to have been extremely good at what she did for my mother to finally listen and trust that she needed to leave for good. Because I was wondering if what the therapist did was ethical. So she figured out a way around it. That's good. I'm glad. Wonder Orca said, I am a special education teacher, but when I was 16, my mom moved the man who physically and sexually assaulted me into our home. She bailed him out when he was arrested. Oh my God. I left and slept in a car I bought for $200. Oh my God. The principal at my school found out, and he and his wife rented me a studio apartment. They paid for me to go to counseling and helped me get a job so I could afford food and basic necessities. I hate mothers that do things like this. Put a man above your child. That's disgusting. Lord Vader once says, I had a student who had run away from her family, who was a known drug dealer with violent tendencies in the area. I received a call from another school employee that said she was on the highway and walking away from her house with her boyfriend. Both she and he were 18 at the time. My wife and I went and picked her and her boyfriend up, and in talking with her prior to this day, we knew that the situation at home was terrible. I'm glad that they wanted something better for themselves. They realized how bad it was, and they're like, nope, I don't want to be part of this. The boyfriend had family in the next state, and the girl was comfortable going there, so we drove them over to his family's house. Had she not been 18, we would not have done it. Police were called on us, and we discussed it with our administration after we returned home to let them know what we had done. Since they were 18, there was no recourse that could have been taken by the police, so no charges were filed, and we stayed in education and moved out of that community after that year. The girl went on to marry her boyfriend and have a couple of kids, living a successful life. Family she was with were involved in many drug offenses and leading police on a high-speed chase and are still in prison. I feel that we give her a shot at a successful life, even if it could have cost us a career. Worth it. She realized that she wanted better for herself. Sadly, not everybody gets to be able to do that. Sunnyvale says, I too am a retired teacher. I taught 8th graders, and one year I won a $100 gift certificate to a local mall right before Christmas. I had the counselor give it to one of my students who was in foster care and had been having a really hard time with her new parents. The counselor told her she had won a contest at school and gave her the certificate. The counselor later told me she was ecstatic because she wasn't sure she was going to get anything for Christmas. Aww. This was in the early 2000s, so it was a good gift. It still makes me smile to this day. I never told anyone. Aww. And then Opie replied, it's sad that we have to hide our good deeds. I bet she still remembers it. And that's crazy. Like, society expect teachers to basically just spend money on school supplies and all of this stuff and whatnot, but they draw a line somewhere when it comes to certain things like this. Westbridge 1157 says, we had a very poor and poorly parented student who'd worked and scraped together enough money to go on a high school trip in another state with no help and with her family actively trying to get money from her. I saw a colleague shopping in a nearby town, and it turned out she was shopping with the girl buying wardrobe basics as she tried to pull out of the trip on realizing she didn't have any suitable clothes. She wasn't after fancy, just something acceptable. Underwear, a shirt, jumper, pants, a basic wardrobe to be sure. Oh my God. I gave my colleague a sum of cash to help out and ask her not to mention it to anyone. This girl is in her late 20s now and has made it out of our town and escaped the fate of her family. I like to think that our combined efforts give her some hope and help her on her journey, although surely most of the credit goes to the girl herself. To think so many kids, all they need is just somebody to show them that there's hope on the horizon. A lot of time all they need is just somebody to help out, somebody to be nice. Somebody commented, called a parent and told them to threaten to press charges, or better yet, actually press charges against a student who sexually assaulted their daughter. Yes, I'm 100% behind that. They just wanted to suspend him for 3 days and keep him in the same PE and lunch period. Unacceptable. That's unacceptable. No, at the very least, this child should have gotten expelled. If they had found out I'm the one who pushed mom to demand a harsher consequence, I probably would have been reprimanded. This was upper elementary. Elementary? So they were trying to be more like boys or boys, but hell no. Hell no. We need to retire that BS. This is why we have some men that are the way they are, man. Boys are boys. Seriously, who the fuck started this shit? Somebody need to invent a time machine and go find them and stub their toe repeatedly. Like, come on, man. I've had a student that came to me and told me that this boy was bothering her and whatnot. And I told her straight up, you told me he was like touching her inappropriately. And I said, you told me, now I need you to go to administration and tell them. And then when you do that, then you go to your mom and tell her what happened. And then I told her, you told me, you told administration, you told your mom, the next time if he tries it again, whatever you do, well, you did tell him to stop. There's no boys are boys. No, I don't believe in that. This is why we have a bunch of boys, drunk men walking around, not keeping their hands to themselves like they should. No. Venice Palm says, not me, but my mom is also a teacher. When I was a kid, these two kids, one of whom was in her class, came and spent the night at our house. I just thought, awesome, sleepover. But when I got older, she told me the real reason. They were living with their mom's abusive boyfriend and the mom was ready to leave. She confided in my mom, and so my mom took the kids for the night while their mom got out of there. Both of the kids are grown up now and living really good lives. I have a ton more stories of things like this my mom has done for families throughout her career. She's an amazing woman, and I want to be just like her. Good Eye Sniper 83 says, I have been teaching for 17 years. Around year 5 to 6, I was teaching AP World History and met a student who could have easily been a younger sister to me. We looked alike and had a very similar personality. We held a yard sale at school and she bought one of my old college sweatshirt to wear for good luck during her exam. During her senior year, a lot has changed. She was involved in everything: NHS president, all AP classes, applying to very selective colleges, doing Model UN, and her perfectionism turned into an eating disorder. I had been through the exact same thing, so I recognized what was going on. Her mom wasn't taking it seriously and didn't want the shame of her daughter having some sort of problem. Ugh. I'm just glad that nowadays parents are a little more aware and a little more willing to do everything it takes to help their kids. Finally, I had to convince the school nurse, counselor, and principal to meet with mom because she was losing so much weight. Mom agreed to put her in an inpatient treatment facility. I visited my student several times a week and helped her get caught up on her schoolwork, made sure her college applications were prepared, requested letters of recommendation from her other teachers, etc. She still struggled in some not awesome boyfriends, but when she got to college, she thrived. She went to grad school in London and goes to Afghanistan and other places regularly for work. I was in NYC this past summer and spent a day with her catching up. I don't regret getting this involved, but it took a lot out of me, like emotional energy, because I was constantly worried about her and had to watch her like a hawk to make sure she ate. It was the right thing to do, but I haven't allowed myself to get that close again. I understand. I can see why, because it does take a lot of you. I've been through that, not with students and whatnot, but I've been through somebody close to me where they were venting to me a lot. The mental health was declining and whatnot, and I was glad that they were able to confide in me, but at the same time it was starting to mess up with my mental health, and I had to let them know, hey, I think it's time we involve an actual therapist. So yeah, it can drain you eventually, even though you know that what you're doing is the right thing, but you still end up feeling bad telling them that, hey, I cannot help anymore. But yeah, and I'm so proud of her that she was still able to stay on top of her school stuff. I had a student where his mom died right before Christmas, but even then he still kept on top of his academics. I was so proud of him. Bonnie at last says, I know many of us have reported child abuse without putting our names on the report. Sadly, nowadays, your name have to be on the report. It is not required. At least the many times that I've used it, my name had to be on there. I had to explain in teachers' meetings that if you don't report it and you know it is going on, then you are an accessory to the fact and can be arrested too. That you should not put your name on the report because the perpetrator can pull the records later to see who made the report. I did not tell them how I knew these things. If you see something, say something. And I will always worried about the kids under the radar that are good at hiding what is going on. One little girl had been abused by an uncle. Another was chained to his bed at home. He always wore long sleeves and pants. It covered the bruises. Another was made to sleep in the garage on a cot, given a can opener and canned food to eat. Oh my God. Nothing cooked. he acted out badly in school. There was a reason he was that way. Yeah, sometimes some kids do act up badly in school because of things that goes on at home. Another was unkempt, bushy hair, didn't bathe or brush his teeth. Oof. The kids made fun of him. One day when he was not in class, I told them to knock it off because not all kids have parents that take care of them. A boy in class went over to his house to ask him to play. He had no toys. He had no furniture in his room. Oh my God. He slept on the floor with a blanket and pillow. And another boy had intricate marker drawings all over his back and down on his bottom. The other boy saw it in the restroom. I asked him about it and he said his parents and friends got high and put him on the kitchen table and drew pictures all over the back of his naked body all night long. What the fuck? And the list goes on and on. Those are some of the ones I knew about. And yes, there were times when admin interfered with things getting reported anyway. Like the park in the neighborhood where parents let their 5th and 6th grade girls go hang out and play unsupervised. High school guys came here to take advantage of them. It was off campus, so I was told not to report it. Some of the girls became pregnant the next year in 7th grade. Oh my God. Sometimes I hate humanity. And lastly, SPQR says, yeah, but I'm keeping mine for a while more. Next post comes from the subreddit Our Teacher in Transition. It's titled, How do you know if it's teaching or your school? I've been at my current school for 9 years. When I'm in my classroom doors, I'm actually still happy. I like what I teach and do. I like my kids, but the admin micromanaging has gone too far this year. Weekly lesson plans with secret lists kept of staff that don't complete every part, write-ups for showing up 30 seconds late once to school due to traffic, passive-aggressive comments from AP if anything is questioned. I have an interview for a new school tomorrow, but I'm just wondering when you realize it's the school or the profession. I think I still like teaching, but this is also the only school I've ever really known, so it doesn't get any better. I've been teaching for 4 years, and I myself have had these questions pop up into my head every now and then. I've asked myself that question so many times. I love teaching, I love it, but I do ask myself, is it the school or if it's teaching? Late Lawfulness 1321 says, in your situation, it sounds like the school culture is the problem. And I could agree to that because nobody wants to be micromanaged and to be written up because you're 30 seconds late. That's stupid. That's crazy. OK Cell 8105 says, admins that treat grown adult teachers like little kids have no place in education. They'd be better served pumping gas. Okay, that's a little excessive. Gem Doll replied, when I was pregnant, I ran to the bathroom during my planning time to go throw up. Barely made it there. During that time, an administrator who saw me went down the hall and locked me out of my classroom because I had left the door open. Apparently, there was a new rule that doors had to be locked at all times, but I assumed it was just when students were there for safety concern. When I came back, the other teachers told me she slammed the door and made a scene about it, but never said a word to me. I hate passive-aggressive people like that. If you got something to say it in front of me. Why are you doing everything behind my back? The heck? At my school, they have that rule where doors have to be locked out all the time. And I, too, also assumed it was only when students were in the classroom. But this past school year, I found out that is not the case. It has to be closed even when it's just my planning. Next commenter, BERRIEH, says, one of the bad things is any district school can change at any time and teaching is low mobility, harder to leave, especially district states. The schools aren't as bad because new district means you're starting tenure clock if applicable. New state means new licensure, etc. And yeah, I agree with that. Things can change at any time. Like, we started the school year with the principal that hired me, and then right after Q1 ended, he was gone. He got moved somewhere else. And then we had to deal with a new teacher and whatnot. So, yeah. One thing I do like about corporate is the mobility. I was unhappy recently, though my job was still pretty good. And I just looked at a bunch of potential new jobs, got one, liked the offer, and moved on at the first bit of this content so I could seek more growth and new challenges. This was 2.5 years, so not going to be a job hopping thing. That's a normal tenure in my industry. Couldn't do that as easily in teaching. I did bop around my district a bunch, but aside from moving, options were pretty limited to that district. I have found management changes in school are also often quite arbitrarily done, so I had a new principal almost every year. I learned to ignore them, even on the leadership team, instructional coach, so still union. However, in your case, it does sound like you enjoy teaching, but not your admin management. Nobody would like no one, no matter what the industry, likes a micromanager. No one does. So I would say you might be happier in another school. That doesn't mean leaving is wrong. There is risk tied to staying in teaching, especially if you've already at 9 years, and risk tied to leaving. Only you can decide. But it does sound like you fundamentally like the job itself fine, and if you worked at a school with better admin, you might like it more. Of course, the student population, district policies, and admin management are going to impact that holistically, so there could be new problems too. Like, I love teaching, and I do ask myself these questions because there are times when I look at myself, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do this anymore. But then I sit down and think and ask myself, what is it that I can do? Because I love teaching. I love it. I enjoy it. I really do. And then I sit down and I ask myself and I try to think and I ask myself, is it the type of school I am at? Because I am at a Title I school. And a lot of times that comes with behavior problems, students not wanting to do anything. Student, when they go home, a lot of times parents don't even do anything. They don't make them do anything. They just let them stay on the phone doing TikTok or whatever and not study or do any homework and whatnot. And then when their kids are failing, even though you tell them, let them know constantly that, hey, your child is failing, then they get mad at you because their child is failing, even though you weren't doing anything. And then there's admin and all of that. So I do ask myself, I do wonder if I will be happier in a non-Title I school. I have this notion that if it is a non-Title I school, I will have more parents who are more involved. But at the same time, I do feel that a non-Title I school will probably come with its own set of issues, such as parents who care a little too much. I'm still trying to figure out where I will better feel like myself, where I would feel more at ease. I'm still trying to figure that out, but I do feel like I want to deal with parents. Well, it's not like I want to deal with parents that care. It's just that I just sometimes wish that parents would care a little more at the Title I schools, essentially. I don't see myself leaving teaching anytime soon. I have a feeling if I leave teaching, it's probably because I get fired. So yeah, I do ask myself that question. Bohemian Plant City said, I've been in an incredible school and an awful school back to back. The admin is the biggest variable and indicates how the school will go. A good admin will make your teaching better, which will make your school better. A bad admin will make your teaching worse because the school is worse. In the interview, ask about the school's culture and what everyone does to create the culture. A friendly giraffe said, this is my 4th district. All public schools. These were the lesson plan requirements for each school district. 1st district only needed lesson plan for formal observation, roughly 4 a year for one 50-minute class. 2nd district wrote for one formal evaluation and several others for a unit plan for induction. 3rd district never wrote a lesson plan. 4th district, 10 plus years now, never wrote a lesson plan. The weekly lesson plan requirements seem really excessive, especially after so long in the profession. The write-up 30 seconds late sound targeted. Are they doing that with everyone or just you? I'm not saying that this year was a bed of roses and amazing, but it seems like you mostly like your job. It's just horrible admin that are keeping you from doing it. I think you will be happier elsewhere from what you described. Good luck on your interview. I hope you nail it. Caprese Salad 1985 says, so I think it's definitely the school, but it's also perspective. I am at a school after Fab District that is fantastic. I love the principal. He has such a great personality. They leave me alone. I was in a bad car accident and they told me to take my time getting better, and I still got a stellar summative. The building culture is great, but I also understand I teach an elective and have liberties that other teachers don't, and that makes my life as a teacher a little easier. And teachers who have been at this school their whole careers have plenty to bitch about. I will say I am worried about what will happen when the principal retires. He's 55, so it's coming. He's truly beloved by the staff, the kids, and the parents. He's been in the building 13 years. I've got 27 years to go, and I'd love this to be my final stop, but I could see the culture changing in a major way when the principal retires. And it will. It will. It could be even better, but more often than not, it's probably going to be worse. A commenter said, why not both? This is clearly a school culture problem, but the job as a whole is rife with problems like this. Having terrible admin just makes the already bad situation worse. And I agree. Commenter Mystic Knight says, find another district before they can cap your years. And last commenter says, I switched district and it saved my career. I once read that people don't quit jobs, they quit management, and I wonder if that's this. When I was at my previous district, I did sometimes wonder if I was cut out with this. I mean, I guess I was, because my first year, even though classroom management was not the best at all, they still asked me to come back. But then it seems like the following year it was just bad. Thank God I left there, and then when I got to this school I just started enjoying it again. So I guess for me it did kind of save my career too. Next post is titled, if all the good teachers are leaving, who is left to teach? Oof. It was posted in the subreddit Our Teachers in Transition by user I'm Just Here 7777. As a teacher that has been in the field for 11 years, I'm leaving and not looking back. I don't blame you. I still have that tiny voice in the back of my head that asks me, who in the hell will educate America? But I'm feeling like a used tissue here, so I'm out. Too much mental abuse by administration. Again, people don't leave, a lot of times people don't leave jobs, they leave management. Status Target 9807 says, good teachers that are scared to leave and new teachers that are not broken yet. Yeah, I feel like there will always be good teachers to left to teach, not as many as we'd want, unfortunately, but I feel like there's always going to be a batch of teachers that want to teach students. Psycho Pseudonym 75 says, state legislature don't want good teachers. They want test prep facilitators. Pretty soon, the person in the room won't need a degree, just a 6-week course on time and behavior management. The curriculum will be all digital and pre-med. Oh, I really hope that doesn't happen. But to be honest, I'm not hopeful that it won't, because it seems like year after year, governors and government, they try to come up with something that they're not helping. Basically, they try to lower the requirements for teachers. So I can only hope that don't happen. Infinite Strain 1130 says, all those kids admin forced us to pass them. Oof, that thought scares me. I Love Hugs 2020 says they will make all the courses online with one teacher to oversee them face to face. They will use some more AI and spin it as individualized instruction. The nation will become less and less educated and easier to control. Speaking of that, earlier today my husband showed me a video about how the founder of Duolingo apparently feels that AI will become the primary educator eventually. I can see them try to make it happen in the United States, because Lord knows it seems like people think that teachers are basically babysitters anyway, so I wouldn't be surprised. Somebody else commented, in the words of one of my coworkers, quote, "These kids will be left with the teachers they deserve." And then Friendly Advice 2968 replied, "I'm always torn, because on the one hand, fuck them kids, and on the other hand, they are literally the most vulnerable part of a broken system and have no real say in any of it." And that's true. They have no say. We teachers have no say. The only way you'll probably be able to have any say in how you educate children is if you have your own school. And even then, sometimes if you accept federal grant for tuition, you may not have a say in how to teach them. TACHOUE 2004 says the ones that are thinking of PSLF. And if you don't know what PSLF is, it's basically stand for Public Service Loan Forgiveness. It's a way for teachers to get their student loans to be forgiven. They just have to teach for minimum 120 months or 10 years. A commenter says, there are some good ones. Let's not get too full of ourselves, which I agree. Not all good teachers are going to be leaving. A lot of them, such as myself, well, I'm told I'm a good teacher. Sometimes I don't feel like it, but that's what I'm told. So I do feel like not all good teachers are going to leave. I don't think they're all leaving. I'm sure 95% of the people who leave assume they're the good ones. Good point there. There are actually many good teachers who have the thick skin and good luck to be able to stick around. I fully understand and appreciate the reasons why people want to leave. I know quite well that many good teachers get fed up and leave. Newsflash, lots of bad ones are leaving too, and if you follow this thread long enough, you can easily recognize that in people who post here. In the end, I get your point. I just think it's bullshit to act like anyone still teaching isn't a good teacher just because they're willing to take the BS or have been lucky to avoid it enough. Act of Villainy says, at this rate, I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes one of the opportunities in programs like AmeriCorps. Crazy that despite media coverage about the teaching shortage, actual solutions aren't even a discussion among the general population or in politics. Which is true. It's as if they're not trying to do anything. And on top of that, I completely forgot there are programs out there that basically put teachers in the classroom, which is weird considering I tried to sign up with one of them. What was it? Teach America? Teach for America. I forgot those things exist. Senku2 says, enjoy the power of these 3 simple words, not my problem. I think it should be all of our problem, because these kids are the future of the US, of America, of the world. Shouldn't we care? And then bland, boring Jessica says, AI. God, I hope not. Because we know that these kids, they use AI and whatnot to do their work and stuff. They don't even try to use that in a way to benefit them in the long run. They just use it just to copy things. Our final post is titled, Student Said Teaching is Easy, So I Let Him. This was posted in the subreddit Our Teachers by Inevitable Poem. It says, putting this in humor, as this was some of the most fun I've had with this class in a while. So, class of 8th graders, majority are really nice kids, but there are just a few with behavioral problems that get on my nerves from time to time. One of the annoying ones was being his usual self and then suddenly said, man, teaching is really easy. This was a class where I mostly had to coach them, as we had done the theory the day before and now they were just going to be practicing. I teach foreign languages. I stopped, looked at him, and handed him the marker. I then sat down in an absent student's chair at the front of the class and said, "Be my guest. Go on, explain grammar we just learned to us." He got up with a smirk, ready to prove that teaching is in fact really easy. Before he could begin, I turned to the class and told them, "Make it realistic." Oh boy, did they make it realistic. They immediately proceeded to talk to their neighbor or to just shout questions without raising their hands. The other kids who behaved badly also did this. They had no mercy on their friend, who soon started to become angry. He tried to put one of his friend in the hallway only to be met with rude response, as that particular kid used to do to me when I put him in timeout. After not even 5 minutes, he gave up and handed me my marker back, saying, "I think you're a lot better at this than I am." I got back up, calmed the class back down, and asked him how he thought about it now. He said that he didn't realize just how bad they could be and how annoying having questions shouted at you really is when you're trying to explain something. He's been a lot better at raising his hand ever since. I love doing this. I have a lot of students that ask me to let them do this. Let's see, technically my first year at my previous school. I say technically because technically I started basically towards the end of the previous school year, like in February, beginning of February. So technically my first school year, I had a student that shouldn't have been in my class anyway. I tried to get him for them to put him in a higher level. They told me since he wasn't part of the magnet program, he couldn't be in it. But that's neither here nor there. The student, he was already ahead of the kids that I had. He should have been in algebra, but they wouldn't put him. And anytime I had him work on algebra stuff, and I was teaching 6th grade at the time, I had him do algebra stuff, but then there are times when he would ask me, "Hey, can I teach this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And he just does it. There are times when the kids would prefer that I do it, so that's what I do. But most times they love it when he explained it to them. There are, at my current school, I've had a couple of kids ask me to let them teach something. I let them do it, and then the kids, of course, they don't know how to be quiet, and they usually come back to me and say, "Yeah, I can't do this. I could never be a teacher because I'll be fighting them kids." And yeah, which is weird. And I'm like, that's how you are. That's basically your behavior in the class. So how are you complaining? And they're like, "Yeah, me and them kids will fight." So they ask for it, I let them, and then they realize it's not that easy. Quatre says schools and parents want to protect their egos, but these humbling moments are necessary for growth. And then Save My Soul 72 replied, "I did this once with a really disruptive boy in my 8th grade algebra class. I went inside in his seat while he taught. I made disruptive sounds just like he did. The class lost it." Earth Garden says, "Oh, my students used to tell me all the time that they could never do my job because they would slap the shit out of these badass kids." Yep, I've had kids say that to me. Yep. When I reminded them that they act just like the other kids too, they say, "I know, miss." LOL, I guess. I did a Socratic seminar in each of my courses, and in the freshman class, physical science, I taught the kid that moderated. Previously, one of my big talkers was going to hit someone. He got so frustrated when kids talk out of turn. He would yell at them, "Y'all are not gonna mess up my extra credit. Shut it," and often looked to me for help. I reminded him and all the kids, I'm just a fly on the wall. They actually got into it and it went well. Later, he told me that was exhausting. They barely wanted to listen to me. I said, "Yes, isn't that interesting?" To his credit, after that, he stopped cutting up in class and would often tell his classmates to chill out when I was teaching. Aww. I'm glad that some of them actually learned something. And the last comment is from Unicatcher, UNICACHER. "I used to have a class economy, and one of the big items they could buy was teacher for a day. They had to stay after school the day before and plan the lessons, teach the entire day, and then grade anything they assigned. Predictably, it started all roses. I was kind and played the good kid. If anything, I'd antagonized the slackers. I had my pencil, where's yours? Here's my book. How'd you lose yours already? Next day, that poor kid would ruthlessly defend me. You guys, job is so hard. Be nice to him. Then I'd get the parent phone call. I don't know what you did, but I've never seen my kid so exhausted. Get a taste of what we go through, and they fold. This wraps up our 4th episode. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to reading your comments. If you have any suggestion on how I can make this a better experience for you, let me know. Please like or follow on whatever platform you're listening on to be the first to receive notification of the new episodes. I promise to try my best and drop them weekly on Mondays. Please head on to Patreon if you'd like to donate or sign up for early access to ad-free episodes for just $3 per month. The link will be in the description. Lastly, if you are a new or aspiring teacher, drop any questions you may have in the comment section so the veteran teachers can help and answer them. Let's look out for each other, as we can always learn from each other. Together, let's educate the world. Bye.